Cellium is one of the best players currently competing in the Call of Duty League. Since the early days of being banned by the pros who thought he was cheating, to now being a pivotal piece of the FaZe Dynasty roster, every time I watch his gameplay, it is clear that he is among the most talented COD pros of the newer generation. In this video, I want to explore Cellium's rise to the top and how he even became a pro in the first place.
Everyone from FaZe has had their moments. The bomb is now down. This is not impossible. Cell fights. How has he found that second? It's sensational. It's his first LAN event, and he's doing things like this to players who've been around for a long time. The stun goes in, give him number 3, and just give him number 4 as well. Keep an eye out on that young man there.
A young MC, Cellium started playing Call of Duty competitively at the age of 14 during the Advanced Warfare season. Initially, he learned about the competitive scene from some kids at school and was instantly hooked. He had played other CODs casually, but Advanced Warfare was really his introduction to the competitive side of COD. He enjoyed playing on the XP ladders for months, but was afraid to play for money.
Like, I think I was like 14 at this time, like 14. I was so scared to play for money, like I was so scared, right? And like I met someone that was like, bro, you gotta play for money, like it's free cash, like, you know? Yeah, I asked my mom for $7 to deposit it, like on I think it was UMG, yeah, UMG.
Months into Advanced Warfare, and Cellium began playing wagers and flipped that $7 by winning these matches, growing his earnings and his reputation. He quickly rose to the top of the PlayStation 4 online S&D scene, becoming one of the best players as he worked through the ladder. Now, during the Advanced Warfare days, pros used Xbox consoles to compete, but everything changed for the Black Ops 3 season when they transitioned to PlayStation. This shift was perfect for Cellium because at the time, he was one of the top PlayStation competitive players and could get on the pros' radars as the competitive scene evolved. Now, when Black Ops 3 was out, Cellium continued meeting more players, networking, so he kept on playing in different circles until he eventually ran into younger talent with similar skill level. Players like Simp, Dashy, Illy, Skies, Turnup. Now, playing in these S&D circles, these players all got their names out there and were becoming highly sought after, but the only thing holding them back was the age limit. At the time, there was an 18-year-old age limit, so most of these guys were unable to compete, and that was true for Cellium. So he went to play Fortnite for a bit while it was taking over the world, but returned shortly after with one goal in mind, and that was to officially break on to the pro scene. So by the time Infinite Warfare hit the stores around the world, Cellium was a well-known young talent in the S&D scene and continued being involved. In fact, he was one of the only people who could play in Pro 8s, even though he was not a pro himself. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Pro 8s is like pickup basketball for COD. The pro players will all get into a lobby together, get randomly selected to teams, usually by captains, and it's another way for them to get more practice. Well, Cellium was allowed to play in these pro circles where he started getting a reputation, but maybe not in the best way. Cellium was frying these pros, and it even got to the point where they couldn't even believe it themselves. After weeks of playing these Pro 8s, Cellium was eventually banned for cheating by the other pro players. Nobody believed Cellium was actually good enough to be hanging with them and dominating them in Pro 8s. They accused him of keyboarding, hacking. I mean, if anything, as inconvenient as it may have been for Cellium, it was probably a compliment to him too, because deep down he knew that he wasn't cheating and could compete at the pro level.
I would play the Pro 8s and like I would be the only like person like not a pro. Yeah, I wasn't in a circle, so I was like a random to them pretty much. Like,
everybody thought you were cheating.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I wasn't slamming all the pros at the time. I was slamming everybody, and they're like, bro, who the fuck is this guy? Like, guy's not this good, and then I got banned.
Now in 2017, World War II came out, and because of the age restriction, still Cellium had to continue playing online tournaments for the time being, but the clock was ticking, and towards the end of 2017, Cellium would get his first opportunity to join a real org, and that was E United. But he wasn't on the starting roster, he was on their cadets roster, where the goal of the team was to improve and develop each player individually as their impending pro offers lingered. He played alongside players he came up with in the S&D scene like Simp, Illy, and Turnup. They had a couple solid placings in the UMG Prime tournaments. He didn't do too much with the E United cadets, but it was definitely a step forward for him, gaining valuable experience in the amateur scene. But as the World War II season came and went, December 2018 was closing in, meaning that Cellium was about to turn 18 and be able to go pro in the CWO. And one of the biggest teams had been eyeing him all along, and that was FaZe Clan. He had seen some of his friends like Dashy get picked up into the league, saw them succeed succeed, and now he wanted it for himself, and his opportunity finally came. 2 days before he turned 18, FaZe had already announced Cellium to the starting roster, replacing Methods for the upcoming Black Ops 4 Pro League qualifier. The starting roster was now Cellium, Attach, Zuma, Crowder, and Priesta. Unfortunately, at Cellium's first event in the Pro League, FaZe fell short of a top 12 finish after being upset by the French team Overtime Esports.
Sensational! It's his first LAN event, and he's doing things like this to players who've been around for a long time. The stun goes in, give him number 3, and just give him number 4 as well! Keep an eye out on that young man there.
After this event, Cellium left to join FaZe Clan Black to continue competing under FaZe. FaZe clearly believed in this kid, and they wanted to keep him around, and we see how that turned out later on. But with this new FaZe Black team, he tasted his first true hint of success. Because at the CWL Fort Worth Open in 2019, FaZe Black entered the tournament as one of the best teams. It was Cellium, Sim, Gravity, Phantoms, and ASIM who broke through the open bracket without dropping a single map until they played Cyclone NA. After winning this series 3-2, FaZe Black beat Mind Freak in the winners finals and the grand finals to secure Cellium's first real championship.
Pulls out for him, but he gets taken down, and now it should be all over. Setzy all alone against 3 players, desperately praying, and down he goes. Asim will end it. FC Black win this with a reverse sweep 3-2. And they will be your Game Fuel Open Bracket champion.
This put all the pros on high alert, seeing that these young players were coming to win it all. Now, shortly after this, on April 20th, 2019, FaZe Clan purchased Red Reserve's CWL Pro League spot, signing Scraps and Zero from the team, and bringing over Cellium and ASIM from FaZe Black. So now by buy-in, Cellium was in the Pro League for the end of the Black Ops 4 season. This gave him another shot to shine. Simp would go on to join E United, Cellium would stay on FaZe, and FaZe placed top 12 at London and 3rd in the Stage 3 playoffs. After a 3-0 start in group play, they were double first rounded at CWL Champs in 2019, and while his rookie stint in the CWL wasn't as successful as someone like Simp, Cellium still gained valuable experience competing at the pro level. He created many memorable moments that showed how incredibly high his skill ceiling could be, and people were already calling him a future GOAT. This Reddit thread I found said, "Who is this guy and how old is he? Been following this guy in 8s and S&D tourneys, and he is an absolute beast. Always at the top of the scoreboard in hardpoints too. In 7 years, Cellium will be called the GOAT. Cellium and Simp will dominate when they turn 18. And this comment perfectly summarizes my reaction. How does it feel to be a prophet? But everything was about to change. The Call of Duty League was announced, bringing a major format change to the team structures and the entire competitive landscape. The transition was much easier for Cellium than for most players because he earned the trust and loyalty of FaZe Clan during the Black Ops 4 season. So he was going to stay on Atlanta FaZe as a franchise, and the only thing left to do was to decide who to team with. He found some veteran players in Major Maniac and Priesta, and they eventually signed the Tiny Terrors duo of Simp and Abizi. It must have been really cool for all of them because they had come up in the same S&D circles, and now they were reunited with the change of the Call of Duty League. The league introduced a new home series event style where pros would travel and compete, and on top of that, Atlanta FaZe was one of the top teams on paper with all these young prospects mixed with some well-respected veterans. And the season started about as well as it possibly could for them. During launch weekend, they rose to the top of the standings with a 2-0 series record, and they even continued their success at the Atlanta home series event. During the Atlanta home series, in front of the home crowd, Cellium delivered a generational performance with this newly formed roster, earning MVP chants throughout the entire weekend. This is just like a second-year player, and the crowd was showing him so much love. They knew how talented he was, and he lived up to the hype at this event. After winning 3 series, they triumphed over the Florida Mutineers 3-0 in the grand finals, and Cellium was awarded a well-deserved MVP title for the event, finishing with a 1.2 KD.
As always, this is the PlayStation Instant Reaction. I want to ask you questions, but I can barely hear. The MVP chants come on out. Cellium, you've been playing lights out so far this weekend.
The whole season moved to an online league after this event, which slowed down the momentum of the competitive scene, but Cellium and FaZe remained consistent and at the top of the standings for most of the Modern Warfare season. They couldn't convert at grand finals on numerous occasions, but they would win week 7 during the Florida event, and that would be the last time they won throughout the Modern Warfare season. Ultimately, at COD Champs, FaZe fell to Dallas Empire, making it all the way to the grand finals, and Cellium's second ever COD Champs event. He earned a respectable second place finish along with a nice payday, but at this time the league was really focused on Shotzi and his MVP season, so Cellium was looking to bounce back going into Cold War.
Just has to make the move himself. This is the 1v1. He could be the hero here for Atlanta FaZe. He shuts him down. He has no spawn control and realistically no support from his teammates, but Cellium gonna try and do it all. There's two, dips and darts away, goes for the repeat. There's number 3, Cellium number 4. What an incredible play from him. Somehow still alive. Atlanta FaZe with hill control. The cavalry is there, and Cellium, he's not done yet. Pushing through the smoke, the young rookie trying to make a play. Is it enough though? Is it gonna be enough?
Now, despite these incredible performances, Cellium was gaining somewhat of a negative rap from the community as he became known for breaking some GAs, adding a little twist to his gameplay, using something that we all know as snaking. Now, there were multiple instances dating all the way back to the Infinite Warfare season where Cellium abused this crouching mechanic, giving him the advantage in a lot of gunfights when he's on a head glitch. Now, obviously, you can do this in the game and it's not cheating or anything like that, but I'm sure you could see why the pros would be annoyed that somebody would be abusing this mechanic over and over again in a lot of their gunfights. And in many ways, this was becoming his signature move. Formal, a Call of Duty legend, even remembers playing against Cellium back in the day while he was snaking.
Kids are snaking the 18-wheeler, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there thinking like, bro, you can't do this weird. To where like I'm already about it, and you're out of pre-lane, you're just doing it blatantly, non-stop for the whole round. I'm just losing my mind. And then it got so bad that like, so I'm sitting like across from Cell, to where I have like a direct angle to see his face, and I'm like, I stand up and I look through the monitors. I'm like, yo, can you stop snaking? I was like, you're being weird. Like, if you keep doing this shit, I'm breaking all GAs and like doing whatever. And he just looks at me in the straightest face and straightest tone, and just says, you can do it too. Phase up, and he does the phase thing with his hands.
And there's been multiple instances since then where Cellium has been caught snaking in 4K, and I can't even be mad at the guy because I genuinely think he loves doing it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've been snaking since like IW, so it's been like a minute that I've had my form. So you know, I feel like everyone knows the snake's kind of like but then I'm here. So
some pro players were not happy about it.
I don't have a problem with Cell. I think Cell's a great kid. I think that it's just the problem with snaking he's a big culprit in it.
And it started to become a trend that other pro players would do. So most of the time you hear about Cellium, it usually comes along with a joke about snaking, but that's kind of where it all stems from. Regardless of the controversy, Cellium's talent and name were now more well known than ever before, and he was living up to it with each season. Cold War proved to be a historic one for Atlanta FaZe, marking the most dominant single season in competitive Call of Duty history. During the offseason, FaZe made the pivotal roster move as competition transitioned to 4v4. The trio of Abizi, Simp, and Cellium added veteran champion Arcides to complete their roster construction, and they were instantly considered a top team in the game and lived up to their name, dominating everything in their path.
It's up and about as is tradition. We're going to fly towards that ring, that first hard point, as both teams will jostle for position. New York in first. Over to Cellium, who finds 2 right off the rear, makes it 3. FaZe will
instantly in the 2021 season, FaZe went on to win 3 out of 5 major tournament events with this star-studded lineup. Cellium became more active on the map, letting his skill shine bright. He can run both AR and SMG, but he's an AR player at heart.
For me, T, I honestly feel like I've been like playing better as an AR. Like every time I pull out an AR, I just feel like I'm one of the best like with AR. But
okay,
I mean, I've been doing my job as a sub. You know, I've been just filling them the gaps the team needs.
But every time he picked up the SMG, he was frying with it. Cellium was working on his game and building trust with his squad as they continued to improve with each event. They had a rough finish at the Major 5 event, but they were one of the most prepared teams going into COD Champs, and their Champs run was historic, ultimately ending in a dominant Grand Finals against Toronto Ultra. And after just 3 years of competing in the pro scene, this was a major step for Cellium's pro journey.
It's the glory! It's the championship for FaZe!
It's crazy to think that 6 years ago he was scared to play wagers, and now he made it to the summit of Call of Duty, winning 2021 CDL champs and over $1 million in prize money. Cellium worked extremely hard to get to this point and earned his first world championship, wanting to cement the FaZe dynasty for the Vanguard season. But unfortunately, the FaZe dynasty with Arcides on the squad was short-lived. While FaZe maintained their elite status, they kept falling short in the Vanguard season. They were always at the top of the standings, but pretty much silver surfed their way through the entire season. And what makes this even sting a little more is that Cellium was having one of his best seasons statistically and became the best player throughout the Vanguard season.
To work that time, Simp is going to find a trade though for a BZ as Capsule had found him. Nero finds another. Cellium left in a 1 versus 3. TJ will fall. That's 2 gunfights he probably shouldn't have won, and it's a 1v1. Nero will get that notification. He'll know where that bomb is. Checking it for Cellium. Can't quite get the angle. The bomb's going to go down. The gunfight's going to come. Cellium turns!
Chow the pressures. Thank you. Absolute gunny. And now it's only going to be Cellium left in a 1 versus 3. A technical 1 versus 4 if he can make it.
Someone just commit to us hopping the bomb. There's no way everyone should be looking for where Cellium is on the map. But now he makes it a manageable play. 1v2, you know that one player is flanking. Gets a couple shots onto map, but accuracy is on a bomb. Huge 1-on-1. Now you have to get him a bomb. And Cellium with the 1v4.
After watching some of those clips, you could tell why, but individually, Cellium was shining bright, specifically in Major 1 and Major 4. By the end of the season, despite not winning any tournaments, Cellium had an impressive 1.25 KD in nearly every game mode and was in true MVP form. With this change, Cellium was named the 2022 CDL MVP, adding even more accolades to his short career thus far. He was recognized as the best player throughout the season, and while this was a individual achievement, FaZe still needed a change because they couldn't win in Vanguard, and they tried to find another piece to their puzzle. They mutually parted ways with Arcades, making way for a new veteran player, Slasher. Cellium established himself as a consistent top AR player in the CDL, growing with each season, and MW2 was no exception. Atlanta FaZe would finish in the top 3 at each of the 6 LAN tournaments and 1 Major 2 in Boston to break their championship drought dating all the way back to the Cold War season.
The drought has ended.
Cellium led the league in the slaying department, and his consistency had everyone in the community mind blown, including myself. He earned a spot on the CDL All-Star team for this season. By the time COD Champs rolled around, FaZe claimed 3rd place after being bounced out by NYSO, who would eventually go on to win the tournament. Now, questions still remained about Cellium's playstyle. Outside of the snaking, some people were really confused as to how Cellium's stats could be so good, even though his team was not always winning in their crucial moments. For example, here's what Nadeshot had to say in July 2023.
I think he is unbelievable. The players around the league agree, the coaches agree, but something has got to give.
Yeah.
You cannot be walking out of a series where you lose over the last 2 years, and this guy's walking out of there with like a 1.3 KD, bro. Something is wrong with your gameplay.
Now, Cellium had clearly built his reputation in the league, and whether you love his gameplay or hate it, in my opinion, he remains a top 5 player in the league to this day.
And now it is down to Cellium. Has Deddy popped? Does he have the read? Does he have the read? Able to find the first, now a 1-on-1. Whoa, into wall bangs. This guy's at another level.
Absolute freaking joke.
Does he have the read?
Now, Modern Warfare 3 would see more changes where it seemed like FaZe finally found the piece to the puzzle that they were looking for. Seeking to address these pacing issues, FaZe brought in Draza for Slasher ahead of the 2024 season, and this move paid dividends. Before the season began, Cellium was already back to his old ways.
I'm dropping 5. Bro, he's on every heady. I just spawned up. At 5 kills. How the f am I gonna have a trophy?
We are awful, bro. We are awful.
What?
Yo, you just have no idea what underground is.
But FaZe opened the year with a 2nd place finish at Major 1 and then went on to win Major 2, earning $150,000 in the process. They remained a top 2 team in the league throughout Modern Warfare 3, just as in the seasons past, and then finished in Major 4 without fans in 2nd place again. At the end of MW3, FaZe had a record of 37-8 with a 71% map win rate.
Been magnificent. Miami take the lead. They're trying to close it out.
Cell first kill's good though, but Miami battle back. They've got themselves the trade. Oh, it's just down to Cell with the what? Oh, he's gonna get all 4. Atlanta are gonna reinforce the hard point first. Miami, no trophy systems are locked in place by stuns. Oh, it's an absolute breakdown by the NSL.
It's safe to say that they were the most dominant team in the league. Statistically speaking, nothing can really compare to their Cold War season, but FaZe were a scary team in 2024. Champs proved to be very underwhelming. They lost to NYSL in winners round 2 and then lost a game 5 to Toronto Ultra, being knocked out of the tournament, placing top 6 out of 8 teams in the event. Cellium remained a top 10 player in MW3, being number 8 on the Breaking Point top 20 with a 1.16 KD at LAN events. It was another successful season for Cellium individually, but it wasn't over just yet, because the Esports World Cup featured Call of Duty for the first time in 2024, allowing the pros to travel to Saudi Arabia for this prestigious esports tournament.
Welcome to the Esports World Cup.
This time, 16 teams competed, including a couple challengers teams, and FaZe remained one of the favorites heading into the event. It was a fantastic addition to the competitive COD calendar, and FaZe made the most of it. FaZe crushed the keys and had an incredible bracket run to the grand finals, where they faced 100 Thieves. To bounce back from the underwhelming champs, FaZe won the Esports World Cup, earning $600K.
Draza, the whole squad, FaZe, they've done it!
And on top of that, Cellium was named the MVP of the entire tournament, marking another milestone in his career. Now to the Black Ops 6 season, Atlanta FaZe hasn't changed much. They remain a dominant force in the league, and it's no surprise that Cellium is still putting up incredible performances each week.
There's Guilty, though. In the madness, C9 delivered. And in the madness, Cellium might just step up to the plate. That is an AR player getting mixy, and that is Cellium versus the world.
This is translated to success early in the season, as FaZe won the first ever minor tournament in the CDL era, then went on to win Major 1 and Major 2 to complete the 3-peat. At Major 2, Cellium broke records, earning the highest finals KD of all time in CDL history with a 1.72. He was just unstoppable here. At Major 3, they experienced a top 6 finish, being knocked out by Miami Heretics, but they're looking to bounce back, and Cellium wants to add another ring to build upon his legacy in Call of Duty esports. At just 24 years old, Cellium's journey is far from over.
Vivid has been left alone. 1v1. The battle is on, and you can never count this man out.
He has more championships in his sight and a legacy still unfolding, and the Call of Duty world watches intently to see what he does next. Honestly, Cellium's one of my favorite players to watch. He just plays the game so much differently than the other pros, and his game mechanics are unreal. It'll be interesting to see how this FaZe roster closes out Black Ops 6, but seeing Cellium's journey through the ranks of Call of Duty is truly inspiring, and through hard work and some great opportunities, he's made a great career for himself in this game. But that is Cellium's journey from the early days to now being a pivotal piece of the FaZe roster. If you guys enjoyed this video, check out my recent video where I talked about Cellium's teammate Draza and his controversial rise. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace.